Romance of Sui in Tang Dynasties Chapter 58.
We are jumping straight into really a knife fight moment in history.
That's a good way to put it.
The chaotic period right after the Sui dynasty collapses. And this wasn't just a war, it was a brutal, high-stakes elimination contest.
Absolutely. 3 major forces, 3 kings, all converging on one tiny but incredibly vital canyon called Hulao.
Okay, so let's set the board. Who are the players?
Right. On one side, you have the rising power of the Tang. They're led by the brilliant young general Qin Wang, who you might know better as Li Shimin.
The future Emperor Taizong.
The very same. Then you have the Zheng regime, led by a desperate Wang Shichong. He's completely locked down, starving in Luoyang.
And the third piece of the puzzle?
The third force is the immediate threat, a massive Xia army commanded by the very formidable Jiande.
So our mission today is to really dig into the sources and figure out how Li Shimin survived this. It's basically a pincer movement.
It is.
And we're not just looking at troop movements. We want to find the strategic debates, the diplomatic failures, and the one single masterful deception that let Tang beat 2 enemies at once.
We want the architecture of the gambit.
Exactly.
And the whole thing, the genius of Li Shimin's strategy, is summed up in this one classical analogy our sources use. The story of Bian Zhuangzi.
Okay.
He's a famous warrior, and he sees 2 tigers just viciously fighting each other. Now, instead of jumping in and fighting both,
He waits.
he waits.
Okay.
Because he knows the fight will injure the survivor, and the dead one, well, that's no effort at all.
Yeah.
He only has to deal with one weakened tiger.
1 move, 2 gains. That's the ideal.
And that's exactly what Li Shimin is aiming for. He called it shooting 2 eagles with 1 arrow.
Yeah.
And he was already setting the board.
Right, because the Tang had already secured these key choke points near Luoyang.
Yes, the groundwork was laid. We know Luo Shixin captured Qianjin Fort, which was a huge logistical win, though the records are grim. They note the wholesale slaughter of the people inside. But the real game changer was Hulao. Hulao Pass controls the main route into Luoyang from the east.
And that pass was taken by sheer audacity. Right?
It was complete audacity. Wang Bo took a tiny force, just 1,000 soldiers, dressed them up in the enemy's colors, the Zheng colors,
And just walked in.
marched right in. They surprised and captured the defending general Wang Xingbin literally while he was asleep.
Incredible. So with that one move, Tang controls the main artery into Luoyang.
They've cut it, which puts the Zheng king, Wang Shichong, in a death spiral. He's isolated, surrounded, and running out of food.
Which brings us to his last desperate hope, a diplomatic lifeline.
He knows he has maybe a few weeks left. So he sends his guy, Chang Sinanchi, to Leshu to beg for help from Du Jian, the king of Xia.
And he doesn't show up empty-handed?
Not at all. He arrives with a ton of gold and silks. I mean, basically a war chest designed to bribe the Xia court into action.
And this is where that famous strategic argument comes in. How does he persuade Du Jian to save a rival?
He uses the lip and teeth alliance. It's one of the oldest strategic maxims in the book.
Explain that.
Chang Sinanchi basically argues that Zheng and Xia need each other to survive. If the lips, that Zheng, are gone, destroyed by Tang,
Then the teeth Xia will get cold.
exactly, they'll freeze and rot. It means Tang will just pivot and attack Xia next, and Xia will have to face them all alone.
It's a compelling argument, but it immediately shows a massive weakness inside the Xia court.
Greed.
Greed.
Absolutely. The bribe works. The majority of Du Jian's generals, who have already pocketed the gold, they insist on saving Zheng immediately.
Their vision is purely transactional then.
100%. Save Zheng now, get resources, and then maybe absorb Zheng's territory before making a move on the Tang capital. It's all about the short-term gain.
But not everyone was on board.
No, and the source material makes a point of this. Libationer Ling Jing, he's a sort of high-ranking scholarly advisor, and General Cao Dan, they both refuse the gifts.
So they see the bigger picture.
They're trying to. And this sets up the critical moment of choice, the battle of intellects. Because Ling Jing proposes an entirely different and, frankly, far more brilliant plan.
This is the great what-if of the whole campaign.
It really is. Ling Jing knew that rushing to Luoyang meant fighting Tang on their terms. He tells Du Jian to just ignore the immediate plea.
Which Du Jian later called too roundabout, so what was this indirect path?
It was roundabout, but it was genius. Ling Jing says, don't engage the enemy where they're strongest. Don't go to Hulao. Instead, take a longer, sweeping route.
Okay.
First, cross the Yellow River, secure White Province and Heiyang. set up a defense there, secure your rear.
And then the real objective.
Then you swing north. You enter Shangdang through the Taihang Mountains, and you seize the completely undefended Hedong region.
Hedong, that was the Tang logistical heartland, wasn't it?
It was everything, their home base. And Ling Jing stresses that because Lin Shimin has committed all his best troops to Luoyang, his homeland is empty. Easy, he says, as picking up mustard seeds.
That's fascinating. You're not fighting their army, you're collapsing their whole system.
That's the first benefit, yeah. Easy territory. But the second benefit is the core of the plan. A forced retreat.
Ah, I see.
Ling Jing argues that if Li Shimin suddenly sees his own home base, his source of supplies and men being taken, he has to retreat. Immediately.
You win without fighting. You relieve the siege on Zhang naturally, without risking a huge battle at Hulao.
It's pure strategic leverage. The ultimate judo move. Use your opponent's own focus against them.
But wasn't it too slow? I mean, Wang Shitong was starving. Wouldn't Zhang have collapsed before this plan even worked?
That's the friction point, and it's why Jiande probably dismissed it. But Ling Jing's point was that destroying Tang's home base was more important than Zhang's short-term survival.
A bigger strategic win.
A much bigger win. And we even know Queen Caoho steps in, agrees with Ling Jing, and suggests they also get the Turks to attack the Tang from the west at the same time.
So is a comprehensive indirect strategy?
It was. But Du Jiande, maybe feeling the pressure from his newly rich generals, dismisses both Ling Jing and his own queen. He calls it roundabout talk.
And he commits to the direct attack.
He does. A massive force of 150,000 troops marching straight for the meat grinder at Hulao.
It's just incredible how often history turns on a moment like that. Strategic impatience.
It is.
So this massive threat is now rolling towards Li Shimin. How does he react?
He is, by all accounts, ecstatic.
He's happy.
Delighted. He sees Du Jian's folly immediately. He says, this is it. This is the chance to shoot two eagles with one arrow.
And this is where his own advisor, Li Jing, comes in. What's the Tang counter strategy?
The core of Li Jing's advice was strategic division. Crucially, do not let Du Jiande's fresh army merge with Wang Shicheng's desperate army. That would create an uncontrollable monster.
So divide the Tang army?
Exactly. Keep a lean, effective siege force around Luoyang. Wang Shicheng is already weak, so they just need to wait him out. Meanwhile, Li Shimin takes his absolute best, the 5,000 elite black armored cavalry.
5,000 against 150,000.
5,000 against 150,000. He takes them directly to Hulao to face the Xia army.
That's a staggering disparity.
It is, but it's about quality, not quantity. And it follows the philosophy of using rest against fatigue. The Xia army has marched for miles, and now they're at a choke point, defended by the Tang's best.
And on top of that sound strategy, they layer a brilliant deception. This is where Zhou Maogong comes in.
Yes, Su Maogong is already at Hulao, and he devises this plan for a night attack. He tells Li Shimin he only needs 3,000 men to send a message.
And that message is going to be delivered with terror.
Pure terror.
Okay, so what's the setup for this?
First, the psychological part. The Xia vanguard camps for miles around Hulao, and Li Shimin, very wisely, refuses to challenge them during the day.
Making them think the Tang are scared.
Exactly. The Xia troops get relaxed, complacent. They think the small Tang force is terrified of their numbers.
Big mistake. And now Zhou Maogong unleashes his 3 waves.
3 perfectly timed, coordinated waves of deception, designed to make 3,000 men feel like an entire army that just keeps coming.
So, wave 1.
Late at night. Triggered by the first great cannon blast, Yuqi Jingde leads 1,000 men, and they hit the Xia camp from the western corner.
With what?
Fire spears. Primitive, maybe, but terrifying in the dark. And in the chaos, Yuqi Jingde gets to the vanguard commander, Cao Dan, wounds him, and sets his beard on fire.
Wow, burning the commander's beard. That's personal. Humiliating.
Adds immediate panic. Cao Dan flees in confusion. And just as the Xia forces are reeling, the second great cannon blast goes off.
Signaling the second wave.
The second wave. And this is a true psychological core of the attack. Lu Shixin ambushes the camp from Magpie Mountain.
And this is the group with the sensory overload equipment. What did this look like to the enemy?
Imagine it. Your guard is the dead of night. Suddenly, 1,000 men appear. But they don't look like 1,000. Every single soldier is carrying a small red lantern.
So it looks like a vast glowing legion.
Stretching into the darkness. And the sound. Their horses are all equipped with iron bells. The source says it sounded like tens of thousands charging. It's just total sensory terror.
They're fabricating a phantom army. And before the Xia can even process that.
The third great cannon blast hits. This is the final wave, another 1,000 men, led by Qin Shubo. They ambush from a hill to the northeast.
And what's their gear?
More light and noise. They're using fireballs, throwing these flaming projectiles into the air to keep up the visual chaos, and small gongs to sustain the noise. No moment of silence to regroup.
And we even have this detail about the Shia's second-in-command, Gao Yaxian.
We do. He's desperately trying to make sense of it all. He sees a big red signal lantern high on a pole on a mountain, figures out it's a coordination point, and he actually manages to shoot it down.
Right.
But it's instantly replaced. The Tang had 2,000 black armored cavalry just holding that high ground. To the Shia, it just confirmed that the Tang army wasn't just big, it was everywhere, coordinated, unstoppable.
So then Qin Shubo emerges from the chaos, defeats Gao Yaxian, and the night attack reaches its peak.
It does. The 3,000 troops, using sound, light, and fire, have completely destabilized a camp of 150,000. The source says the slaughter was like falling water and flowing flowers.
And then comes the most jaw-dropping detail of all.
On a prearranged signal gong, the Tang forces just retreat. Mission accomplished. They go back to celebrate with Li Shimin.
Having suffered how many casualties?
0.
0 casualties.
Not a single man lost. It wasn't just a military victory, it was a psychological masterpiece. This was Zhu Maogong's calling card, proving the Tang could strike anywhere, anytime, without fear. The Xia army was now paralyzed. Meanwhile,
we're at Niku Valley, and the scale here is just, it's immense.
It's massive.
Jiande's army, led by Liu Hela and Cao Dan, is stretched out for over 20 miles.
20 miles. From Banzhou all the way to the Yellow River.
Yeah.
The Tang army is looking at this, just this overwhelming wall of soldiers.
Yeah, and your first instinct looking at that has to be, this is going to be a long, brutal fight.
A war of attrition, exactly. But this is where the genius of the Tang military leadership really comes into play.
Okay, so let's get into that. Because despite those staggering numbers, the initial assessment from the Tang side was, well, it was almost dismissive. Why?
The analysis came from Zhu Maogong, one of Qin Wang's sharpest advisors. And he looked at that 20-mile line, and he just declared them easily broken.
Wait, how does anyone look at an army that big that spans 20 miles and call them easily broken? That sounds like pure bravado.
It does, but it was pure analysis. Maogong knew that Jiande's victories up to that point had been against, lesser opponents, regional fights.
So they were untested.
Completely untested against a professional, highly disciplined army like the Tang. Maogong could see it in their ranks. They were disorganized. There was no strict discipline. It was just raw numbers.
So quantity, not quality.
Exactly. A house of cards, just waiting for a strong gust to win.
And on top of all this military pressure, you had a political element. Another major rival, the king of Zheng, had sent his guy, Wang Wan, to watch the battle.
Yes. So this wasn't just about beating Xia. It was about sending a message to Zheng.
To dominance.
Your dominance. And this is where the story gets, a little bit theatrical. Because this observer, Wang Wan, he was not trying to blend in.
No. He was wearing a gold-studded cap, this magnificent brocade armor. He was basically a walking billboard for wealth and power.
And he was riding the ultimate status symbol of the era.
The horse?
The horse. It immediately catches Qin Wang's eye. This was the Azure Steed, the King Zongma.
A legendary horse.
A legendary horse. It was originally a tribute from the Dayun Kingdom to the old Sui Emperor. So to ride this horse was to project this kind of inherited legitimacy. It was a priceless trophy.
And Wang Wan is just parading it right in front of the Tang army.
He's showing off. And this is where things get really dramatic. Qin Wang sees the horse, he admires it, and standing right next to him is Jiande, or Yiqiang.
And Jiande he's the definition of a hot-blooded, audacious warrior. He's not the calculating type.
Not at all. He is pure action. He sees the horse, he sees his commander's admiration, and he makes an offer that is just. It's gloriously insane. He says, I'll go get the horse. And Wang Wan, too.
And Qin Wang's reaction, no, don't do that. That tells you everything.
It tells you the risk. This isn't a small skirmish. This means charging alone, straight into the heart of a 20-mile enemy line.
But Jiande goes anyway.
He was absolutely committed. He spurs his horse and just rushes forward. A pinpoint strike designed for maximum shock and awe. And the source gives us this incredible detail.
Yeah.
He gets into the formation, he grabs Wang Wan, this fabulously dressed general, and just sort of tosses him like a little chicken across his saddle.
Wait. He's in the middle of a charge with the general slung over his horse, and he still goes for the main prize.
He is multitasking at an elite level. While he's got Wang Wan, he uses the tip of his boot to hook the reins of the Azure steed. His two guys, Gao Zongsheng and Liang Jianfeng, ride in to help secure the horse, and then boom, they're back in the Tang lines before anyone really knows what just happened.
It's like a heist in the middle of a battle.
It's battlefield highway robbery. And that move wasn't about killing soldiers at all. It was pure psychological warfare.
So what was the immediate impact on Du Jian's troops?
It was immediate, and it was devastating. I mean, remember what Mao Gong said? They lack discipline.
Right.
So when they see their highest-ranking supervisor, the man in the gold hat on the famous horse, just snatched away in a flash, they don't see a successful raid. They see an omen. They see something almost supernatural.
The symbol of their authority was just gone.
Gone in an instant. Yeah. The entire formation just lost its nerve, its concentration. They lost the will to fight. And you see them start to retreat in total disarray because the psychological pin holding them together had just been pulled.
Jiandai's individual audacity created a tactical window that you just couldn't have planned for.
No conventional maneuver could have done that. Yeah. And that was the signal.
For the main attack.
Mao Gong was waiting for that exact moment. He immediately starts beating the war drum, signaling the all-out assault. He's screaming at the troops to seize this moment of chaos that Jiande had just created.
Calculation meets opportunity.
Perfectly put. And the Tang army didn't just push forward, they executed a perfect pursuit.
Right, they didn't just chase them.
No, Qin Wang led his elite light cavalry, Jiande, Xu Bao, Shixin, his go-to guys across the Sai River.
So they could hit them from behind.
A classic pincer movement. They attacked the retreating army from the rear while the main force advanced. The route was so total they chased them for over 30 line.
That's about 10 miles.
About 10 miles. And in that pursuit, the Shia army lost something like 10,000 men.
An absolute catastrophe. So let's turn to Du Jian himself. His army is shattered. What's his last move?
He tries one last desperate attempt to regroup. He throws off his royal robes to try and blend in with his soldiers, but in the chaos, he runs straight into another Tang force led by Chai Shao.
And this is where we get that amazing detail.
Yes. Chai Shao's troops included the famous Wives' Army, the Niangzi-jun.
And Niangzi-jun, a wives' army. I mean, that's just an incredible detail. It shows you how flexible the Tang military was. They were using every resource they had.
Absolutely. The whole structure was dynamic. And in that clash, Du Jiande is wounded by a spear. He knows he can't fight, so he flees and hides in the dense reeds in the valley.
Trying to become invisible. But history has a bit of a dark sense of humor.
It really does. Because this is a classic case of luxury being your downfall. He took off his royal robes, but he kept his shining gold armor on underneath.
Oh, no.
And that glint of metal, catching the sun through the reeds, it was like a beacon. Two Tang generals, Yang Wuwei and Bai Shizang, spotted it immediately.
So he's cornered. He has one last card to play.
The bribe. You can almost hear the desperation in his voice. He tells them, I am the king of Xia. If you save me, we'll split Hebai. We'll share the wealth.
But the battle's over. His words are worthless.
Completely worthless. They just dined him up and take him straight to Qin Wang.
Yep. And this is where it gets almost poetic. One of the captors, Bai Shizang, he connects the capture to a common folk rhyme.
Yeah, it's as if the people already knew this was going to happen. It's a fantastic moment.
What was the rhyme?
Well, Bai Shizang noted the location Yuku Valley, which means Cow's Mouth Valley, and the king's name Du, which sounds like the word for bean. And he recites this little folk rhyme, a bean, Du, entering a cow's mouth. Dooku cannot last long. It just perfectly captured the whole situation, the swift, fated collapse of the king of Xia.
Wow. So with the king captured, the war is basically over. The Tang forces gathered the spoils, enemy heads, captured envoys, and the most important asset of all.
50,000 prisoners of war.
And this is the moment, the pivot point of our deep dive. The story shifts from battlefield tactics to just pure political genius.
This is the whole thing. The generals, they were all on the same page. They wanted the 50,000 prisoners executed.
Which makes sense from a military perspective. They're a huge security risk, a potential insurgency just waiting to happen.
Right. The generals wanted to establish control through fear, overwhelming force.
And yet, Qin Wang suggests releasing them. Wait, what? Releasing 50,000 enemy soldiers? That sounds like strategic malpractice. How did Mao Gong convince them?
Because Mao Gong saw the bigger picture. He looked beyond the immediate threat to the long-term project of building an empire. He knew Du Jiande wasn't some petty warlord. He was a grassroots hero with a huge loyal following.
So killing his men would just create martyrs.
Tens of thousands of them. Mao Gong understood that the only way to truly pacify the entire region, Shandong and Hebei, wasn't through conquest. It was through consent.
But how does releasing a defeated army create consent?
It's just revolutionary thinking for the time. Mao Gong argued that the defeat was so total, so crushing, that these men would never rally again. If you slaughter them, you harden the will of everyone left behind against you.
But if you release them?
If you release them and send them home alive, they become missionaries for your cause.
They spread the word of the Tang's grace and power.
Exactly. They would go home, stunned that they were alive, and they would tell everyone how powerful but also how merciful the new rulers were. Mao Gong predicted that this one act would make Shandong and Hebei submit without a battle.
He was trading short-term security for long-term political stability.
He was building an empire with psychology, not just with swords. It's profound.
So with this new strategy, Mao Gong goes to Du Jian's capital, Lishu, to take control.
And he puts the policy into practice immediately. He enforces just iron discipline on his own troops. No looting, no harming citizens. The locals were braced for the absolute worst from a conquering army.
And instead, they get order.
They were completely shocked, and they started praising Mao Gong and the Tang army. The strategy was already working.
Well, the occupation itself was merciful. The scene inside the palace was one of utter tragedy.
It really highlights the two sides of a regime collapse. While the common soldiers found mercy, the loyal elite, they faced a very different end.
What did they find?
In the main hall of the palace, Mao Gong found Ling Jing, the Hia High advisor, had hanged himself. He'd left this melancholic farewell poem on the wall about his loyal service ending in failure.
Wow. A final act of loyalty.
The ultimate act. And it continued into the inner palace.
Don't tell me.
They found Empress Cao, Du Jian's wife, and 4 of her maids.
Oh.
All of them had hanged themselves. They chose suicide over capture. The emotional collapse of the regime was total.
It's so grim. But amidst all of this, we get this fascinating little historical footnote about the ones who chose to fight on.
Right. Mao Gong is doing his due diligence, asking about all the key figures, and he learns that Du Jian's daughter, who's described as brave and formidable, and the famous warrior Hua Mulan, had fled the city as soon as they heard the king was defeated.
Hold on, stop right there. The source explicitly names Hua Mulan.
It does.
But Hua Mulan, the figure we usually think of as, semi-mythical. It puts her right in the middle of this real historical event, fighting for the resistance.
It certainly grounds the legend in a very specific time and place, doesn't it? It places her firmly in the resistance movements of the early Tang.
That's incredible.
And Mao Gong reflects on all of this. He sees the loyal officials like Ling Jing, the devoted family like the empress and the brave daughter, and he concludes that despite all these strengths, fate, that the Anming Yugi, the mandate of heaven, had just turned against Du Jiande.
His time was up.
His collapse was simply inevitable. So, to make it official, Mao Gong secured the last symbols of rule. He took the state treasures, the archives, and the imperial seal. He's won the battle, but now he holds this critical territory, Lucio.
And the military part is done. Now comes the administrative part. And if he can't stabilize Lishu, if he can't turn it from a battlefield into a functioning part of the state,
then the victory is basically meaningless.
Completely meaningless. He doesn't need another general. He needs a governor, someone who can win over the people, make things work. And he needs to find that person fast.
And what's so interesting is how the sources frame this search. It's not like he's just looking through a list of candidates. This is urgent. It's personal.
It is. His first move is to go get counsel from someone he really trusts, someone a little outside his immediate military circle.
Which brings us to the elder statesman, Qi Shangsing. He's respected, but he's retired. He's too old for the job himself.
He is, but he offers up this alternative, and the way he describes this person is, well, it's immediately strange. It's very intriguing.
It's the classic mysterious recommendation, right? I'm too old, but I know the one person you need.
Exactly. But the guy is only known by this cryptic name, Zhibei Sheng, something like the Western Northern scholar.
And where's this supposed administrative genius? He's living in some obscure place called Quanxi Village, making a living as a fortune teller.
A fortune teller? I mean, the contrast is just a mind-bender. The best person to secure a vital new territory is in a tiny village reading fortunes.
And the sign outside his shop? It tells you everything.
Oh, it's fantastic. It says, art moves princes, divination surprises gods and ghosts. So he's claiming this elite level power.
Then there's that little note at the end, that condition.
Free for the poor, which immediately tells you something about his character. He's powerful, but he is completely detached from the greed and the political scrambling of the era.
So Mogong tracks him down. He sees another couplet on the door. Deeply ashamed of Zugi's 3-part achievement, yet I recite King Wen's 8 hexagrams.
Which is just a massive boast. He's comparing himself to 2 of the greatest strategists in all of history.
A huge boast. So he pushes inside, he sits down, and when this supposed scholar comes out, Mogong is he's floored.
And this is where the personal history just slams into the political present, because this man, he's not some random mystic, he's Jia Runpu.
An old military associate, a staff officer from the Weigong era years ago.
So the question for Mogong has to be, why? Why did an elite military advisor just vanish and reinvent himself as a roadside fortune teller?
They have a drink, and Mogong pushes him on it. I mean, how do you reconcile this brilliant strategist with this total withdrawal from public life? What happened to him?
Well, Runpu's explanation is key. It's why he would never take the job in Lashou. He talks about this profound disillusionment after the upheaval with Weigong.
And we should probably remind everyone, this wasn't just a political loss. It was a catastrophic failure that shattered the whole system.
It really was. It cost countless lives. Runpu felt that the entire political and military world had just, well, failed him.
He says his heart is like dry wood and dead ashes.
Yeah.
That he's completely given up on fame or gain. It's more than just retirement. It's a complete break.
A total severance. And this is where Mogong has a problem. He needs an administrator, but Runpu insists he's done. Yet his divination skills are shockingly accurate.
Right. It's a paradox. If he's so checked out, where did this incredible skill come from? It's not some common party trick.
No, Mogong recognizes it as something deeper. And Runpu says he was taught by a marvelous person, someone who taught him what the sources call Xiantian mathematics.
Primordial heaven mathematics. It sounds so mystical.
It does, but we should think of it as less like magic and more like deep technical calculation. For a strategist like Mogong, this isn't just predicting the future. It's a system for modeling incredibly complex systems.
Like troop movements, resource allocation, supply chains.
Exactly. It's basically highly advanced predictive modeling, it's disguised as divination.
So Mogong hears this, and he immediately assumes the teacher must have been the old general, Yang Yuchen, who he knew.
Which is a logical guess. A general teaching advanced strategy, but Runpu corrects him. And this is where we find the real hidden genius in this whole story.
It wasn't the general.
No. The real source of this incredible technical knowledge was Yang Yichen's niece, a woman named Yuan Xian.
What a reveal. This woman, Xian, holds all this power, but she's completely invisible in the political world.
And we learned she was a Giran, a high-ranking consort in the old Sui court. But the sources are really specific about this. She wasn't focused on, needlework or typical courtly pursuits.
No, she was an expert in astronomical degrees and latitudes.
Celestial mechanics, advanced mathematics. Think of her as a top-tier astronomer and logistician operating right at the heart of power.
And she used that technical skill, not her rank, not her connections. She used that skill to survive.
Absolutely. When the emperor was murdered, she used her knowledge of celestial mechanics, of the systems she studied, to plot her escape from the palace. Her knowledge was literally her escape plan.
So how does this brilliant high-ranking consort end up teaching a disillusioned strategist the secrets of the cosmos?
It happens in a very quiet, very domestic way. Runpu settled down near where the now-deceased General Yechen had lived, and Runpu's wife befriended Xian, who was living there in retreat.
She was in mourning, supporting her uncle's widow and son.
Exactly. And this incredible transfer of deep technical knowledge happened through that quiet friendship between the two women, completely outside any formal institution. It really shows you where vital knowledge can sometimes hide.
So Mogong hears all of this, and he decides right then and there he has to go to Yang Yichen's tomb to pay his respects, and of course to meet Xian.
And the moment he sees her, the entire reason for his journey, the whole problem of finding a governor for the Shu, it just completely vanishes from his mind.
It's a huge turning point. His priority shifts instantly from political duty to personal desire. The text says he was captivated. His heart and spirit just flew away.
Shinzu Shenfei. He sees her dignified and calm demeanor and finds her perfectly suited, and he immediately asks Runpu to be his matchmaker. On the spot.
Is that a bit selfish, though? I mean, he set out to solve a major administrative problem for the state, and instead he's found a wife for himself.
It seems that way, but Xian's response is what justifies his decision. She doesn't just say yes. She lays down 3 conditions for the marriage, and these conditions aren't personal. They're profound ethical and, frankly, administrative requirements.
Okay, let's break these down because they say so much about her. What's the first one?
Condition 1 is about honor. She demands that Maogong observe the full proper mourning period for her uncle, Yang Yichen, before any wedding can happen.
So it's a test of his integrity. She's putting respect for the dead above her own marriage to a powerful general.
Precisely. Condition 2 is about securing the family line. He must formally adopt and raise Yichen's orphan son, Shiner, and care for his mother.
That's basically administrative welfare planning. She's forcing him to take responsibility for those who can't fend for themselves.
She is. And the third condition is even broader. It's breathtaking, really. Maogong must take on her uncle's commitment to provide for 4 former consorts of the fallen emperor who are now nuns.
So she is ensuring the continuity of a promise made years ago. Her sense of duty extends way beyond her own family to protect these marginalized women.
They aren't just conditions for marriage. They're administrative policies. They prove she has the exact kind of foresight and character he was looking for in a governor all along.
And Maogong sees this. He agrees without a moment's hesitation. He sends the betrothal gift right away. Silver, silk, and his own personal jade pendant.
And her return gift is so symbolic. She sends a linked gold hairpin, for their joint fates, but she also sends a Tai Hunchin ball.
The astronomical instrument.
The astronomical instrument. It's a gift that says, my value is not my old court status, it's my intellect, my expertise. She's entering the marriage as an equal partner with technical knowledge.
So the personal side of things is settled. But before Maogong leaves, Rumku, the man with the heart of dry wood and dead ashes, gets pulled back into politics for one last moment.
He does. He brings up their old comrade, Shan Xiongsin, who's caught up in the conflict with Wang Shichong. Renpu warns him that the situation looks unfavorable.
He's using that Xianqin mathematics to warn his friend about a potential tragedy.
Even in his withdrawal, he still cares about his friends. Maogong confirms it's a dangerous situation and promises to help. And that kind of restores the military tension that the romance had pushed aside.
Okay, so the meeting ends. Maogong promises to send the official papers for Lishu to Renpu the very next day.
And to come back and thank him personally.
Which sets up this bizarre final twist. The next morning, Maogong sends his men with the documents and more gifts. But they come back with Renpu's gifts.
He's gone. Vanished. The messengers say his home is locked up tight, barred with iron. Men who comfing.
The neighbors just say the whole family left before dawn to go offer incense at Tiantai. Maogong is left wondering if he saw a ghost.
It's the ultimate act of detachment. He did his duty. He secured a future for Xian. He gave his friend critical counsel.
And then he was gone. Accepting the governorship would have been a betrayal of his entire philosophy. His heart really was dead to the political world.
It was. So Maogong has his consort, but he's lost his governor. He visits Xian one last time, and she just sends her adopted son out to say goodbye, reinforcing that sense of duty and dignity. And then he continues on to Luyang, with the Lushu problem still completely unsolved.